Okay, Ji. So we are going to now start um, working on the new topic under discussion, that is human nature and dualism. So kindly concentrate on the slides that I'm sharing with you and just be on it. Did you see the screen changing? Please type yes. Great. Okay, so the learning objectives for today is that we will be defining what human nature and psychological egoism is. So you have new keywords here, which is human nature and psychological egoism. And then we'll be understanding how views of human nature actually influence the relationship, the society, and the belief systems in it. Then we'll also be talking about the traditional rationalistic view of human nature, as well as we are going to be looking at Judeo-Christian view of human nature. Last, we have been discussing about mind and body problem. Now we have lots of theories that we will be talking about. It's the same topic that is continued, but we are going to analyze the mind-body problem briefly, and we're talking about supporting our argument with some theories in it. Then we'll also explore the concept of enduring self, as some of you are already writing assignments on self and personal identity, which I'm going to share with you. It was a beautiful extract that I got, and we'll be looking at the content about what is actually personal identity. Maybe we could give you an example from the social media perspective, that we are actually having multiple identities within ourselves, and what is actually enduring self, philosophically speaking. And that's all would cover human nature. Okay, we'll take this to the next level too. But for now, for today, it's an online class, so we have to stick to the concept. First of all, the major questions that actually really always cling to us is, why does the view of human nature even matters? All right. It's like, let me start with a very unique example. If you actually can imagine, it's just like an imagination exercise. Just imagine walking down the street of a city on a winter day. It's very summer now, it's hot. But just imagine that you are in winter season and you are walking down the street on a winter day, and you there see a man, an old man, in a very he's an unshaved person with beard, ragged clothes, old dirty clothes. As you can all see, early morning when I was coming, I saw a beggar asking for money. He was just sitting with his vessel, and I just put something in it. And then when I start helping him, this compassionate feeling actually grew more, and I wanted to help more people. And so I just sort of helping others, giving them lift in my car, almost three of them. But just imagine that you are walking. Can you hear me? Can you say yes, please, if you can hear me? Is there a distortion in the mic? Okay, perfect. Okay. So just imagine that you're walking down the street on a winter day, see an old man with rugged clothes. In front of him is a sign that reads, "I am blind and deaf. Please help me." Now, it may happen, just say that you find a same case, just like I found it in the morning. What would you do? Some of you might feel compassion about the man and reach your pocket and take out a 10 rupees note and just put it in his box or a bowl that he's carrying, and then you will feel good about it and you will walk on. That's what you'll do. The question is, why do we do things like this? Why do we help people? And the easy answer is because you want to do something for this helpless person. You want to relieve him with the obvious needs that he's having, or maybe early morning helping somebody with the real motive of helping. Now, this might be possible that you actually your your motive was self-centeredness, out of self-interest. It could be, or you can say out of selfishness, maybe. It could be the case that you wanted the good feeling you knew would get from helping him. Someone who's not feeling good and he wants to feel good. There's some channels that makes you feel good. There are certain pleasure principles around, and one of the pleasure principle is by helping others. That's how we feel good, isn't it? So that's what you wanted, the good feeling that you knew you would get by helping somebody else. Now, question is, are human beings, like you included, do we have self-interested desires in ourselves? What I'm asking you, are all of our actions that seem to arise out of love, that we do things helping others out of love, or maybe you can do things out of a desire for self pleasure, self gratification that we call. I don't want to explain that term, but then just see a search around self gratification. What does mean? It's not a very good meaning. So, do you think we are all self-centered, or maybe, or is it the case that we at least sometimes are unselfish? Hmm? Now, Sigmund Freud actually said that men are not gentle. Not men doesn't mean that women are not included. Men actually means it's a categorically open sentence, which means that human. Or you can say Sigmund Freud, he's a psychologist, you know that, right? Sigmund Freud actually, he wrote a book, Civilization, and it's a discontent. And in this book, he said, men are not gentle. They're not friendly creatures wishing for love, who simply, um, who simply defend themselves if they are attacked. And that's what human beings do. If a human is attacked by someone, he's going to defend himself. Okay? And Sigmund Freud says that we are the creatures who are wishing for love, but we possess a powerful desire of just desire for aggressiveness. Now, the psychologist, like Freud, he claims that humans are cruel by nature, and they are aggressive, and they are selfish. Okay, why would he say such a thing? Okay, now we are discussing actually why our view of human nature even matters, because we need to understand what shapes the relationship with others and the universe. That is what we are trying to understand. What affects how um, we trust and cooperate with others. I mean, what is actually, how do we do that? How do we build trust? How do we cooperate with others? Is our relationship influenced through politics or through economical system? No, what we are doing is actually we are talking about capitalism and socialism. Okay. Now, many philosophers, just like Freud, say that human beings are actually selfish and they're aggressive. And Sigmund Freud was a British philosopher, and there was another philosopher whose name was Thomas Hobbes, Thobbes, Thomas Hobbes, and he has a similar view. And he said, and remember, you've been talking about materialism, and Hobbes was actually a materialist who held that everything in the universe, that is the whole masses which are there in the universe, okay, that actually makes a body, okay. Human too are basically nothing but material bodies, and we can explain that their activities must, just like any biological mechanism, the mechanism of desire that moves human beings to act out of love, actually that's what makes them humans. Because whenever human beings do something, they actually are seeking satisfaction, and this thing is a mechanistic desire. And Hobbes, being materialist, he claims that the entire social desire for power over others is mainly what motivates human beings. Let me repeat what I just said. Okay, we all have the a power, okay, within ourselves. This power actually is a power of social desire. In the first place, Hobbes said, I put for a general inclination of mankind a perpetual and restless desire of power after power that sees only in death. People are looking for power after power. Somebody becomes, like politically speaking, become an MPA, then he wants to become an MNA, then he wants to go, to the next level. And that's what power means. All right. Now, philosopher Hobbes also agrees with another European philosopher whose name is Moritz, Moritz, Moritz Schlick, Schlick. And Hobbes is also a materialist, and Schlick is also a materialist. And both of them claim that human act only out of selfishness, means self-interest, because humans are nothing but material bodies. Okay. Exactly. That is what we are trying to understand through this, that human nature basically are nothing but the qualities that define a human. Now we are moving towards a theory which is called psychological egoism, and this theory says that all human actions are motivated by self-interest. If whatever actions we do it out of self-interest, okay? And this is called psychological egoism. Now, this theory says that human beings are made so that they can act only out of self-interest. And self-interest is present in every, even the most unselfish behaviors. Like if you are helping a person, that's an unselfish behavior, right? But then it also has some selfishness in it. When people choose between two options, what do you think? That you are given option to wear a shirt between blue and black, you will always choose that, that you will choose the color that makes you, that pleases you, that gives you most pleasure. Okay, now in this case of choosing a dress between two, If you were actually opening the wardrobe last night, or maybe you were just checked your clothes early in the morning, did you pick it up all by chance? Whatever came in front of you, just picked it up, or just you just took a minute. Okay, this is the color that I feel like wearing. What did you do? Can someone type? How did you pick your shirt today? Can you all hear me? Okay, Bushra says that she selected her clothes randomly. How did you pick your clothes today? Did you had a choice? Just kept some clothes in front of you, or you just picked a random something that came in front of you and just you just wore it? Do you had an option? Yes. So someone says that yes, I chose the color that I liked to wear. Exactly. That gave you pleasure, that you thought that will suit you better. Okay. Now, if you examine this behavior of yours of choosing the color that you like, this is called self-interest, because you are seeking pleasure by wearing the color that you like. So we can explain even that apparently that the pursuit of pleasure is actually leading towards self-interestedness. Okay. Now you must be when you were young, or maybe now also, sometimes parents teach you to sacrifice something. Give your share of slice of pizza to your sister or to your brother, or share a toffee, two out of two, give one to your younger one or something. You must, every parent does it. That's how we been trained. Okay. But then this sharing thing is called, it has a hidden element of sacrifice in it, isn't it? And Schlick says that it is because the child associate more pleasurable consequences with giving up the piece of cake, the piece of pizza. So whenever a child does this, what is the child associating this action? He's associating with sacrifice as well as pleasure. The pleasure of giving up the cake is greater than the pleasure of eating it. Now, sometimes it doesn't. I don't agree with this exactly, because I don't. One of my daughters, she is she shares everything, no, but she only shares when we tell her to share. Otherwise, she would only share that much only, that would out of just for the sake of sharing. So that's egoism that comes in her, and this is very much in agreement to with the theory that we are actually dealing with, which is called psychological egoism. Okay, the pleasure of giving up the piece of cake is greater than pleasure of eating it. Helping others gives you more, more pleasure. Like yesterday, I ordered, you know, the beef pilau, and I was having this very yummy beef pilau. I especially went to the market, bought it during the lunchtime, and I asked my teacher what has she brought for lunch, and she said, she has brought a roti and a kebab, perhaps one kebab. I said, okay, I'm bringing uh, something yummy for the lunch. That's the beef pilau. So let's have the lunch together. Now, both of us, I just ordered 1 kilo biryani, a plow, beef plow, which was more than sufficient for us, two of us, and a lot of portion was left that could be shared with others. So what I did was, rather than just wasting it, I gave it to people who sit with me. Rather than me saving it for the next day or eating it for the next day, I didn't think of that. I thought I would be sharing it with those who don't have yummy food today. Maybe they could treat themselves with that. Oh, now, why did I do that? I didn't do it out of self-interestedness. But yes, there was a self-interesting selfishness in it also, which was maybe I thought it might get, rather than throwing it, I should give it to someone. That could be one reason. The other reason could be I wanted to do it because I like to share my food with others. I can't eat alone, so I need someone's company to. Now, when this I word comes in my explanation, I'm talking about ego. Okay, so even when no egoistic motive is obvious, self-interested motivation are always there when we humans actually operate. Okay, there is another philosopher whose name is Mark Twain. Twain. Mark Twain said, of all the created creatures, man is the most detestable, or the entire brood. He is the only one that possesses malice. Malice in the heart. Okay? Brood is always used as a collective noun for the children of vipers, the children of snakes, brood of vipers. Okay? That's a collective noun. Now, brood, Mark Twain compares a human with a snake by saying that out of all the created creatures that God has created, man is the only one who has malice in the heart, selfishness in the heart. And he is the only creature that has a nasty mind, dirty mind. Okay? Now, why would he say something like this? Now, we are moving towards a concept which we call traditional or rationalistic perspective of human beings. But before we deal with the perspective, we must understand that beliefs about our nature actually influence our relationship, our values, our place in the universe. Whatever we believe, whatever is our actually belief about our nature, actually that would influence our relationship with the place we live in on this planet and how we view society actually, right? Your perception of human nature actually determines even how you think we should set up our society. Let me give you an example. What do you think? Should our society be based on capitalism or socialism? There's a you know two words here, capitalism and socialism. Do you think so? Your human relationship should be influenced by politics or economics? Well, suppose that all humans are all selfish, then wouldn't the best way to get people to work to be is to allow every individual to keep whatever benefit he or she produces and not to support those who don't work? I mean, why should we pay taxes to the government? It's our money, but the government actually gives us some facilities by using our taxes. What the government is not doing is returning our taxes back after using it for the entire year. Now that's something is I cannot claim that what government is not doing is because if you don't file the tax returns, then you cannot claim that the government is not giving you taxes back. But in other countries like Australia, they pay heavy taxes throughout the year, but after exactly 1 year, they get a heavy amount into their banks. All the dollars, Australian dollars, come back to them like a boomerang. But here, we don't get our money back. We are paying taxes on everything that we purchase, whatever we eat, we are paying taxes. But that tax includes what? Like you've purchased a cake of soap uh, made by a blah 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 company, and when you see the price, you will say retail price plus taxes. Now that's the sale taxes that the person who has made the soap should be paying. Rather, uh, on the other side, on the contrary, we will be paying the taxes, the ones who have purchased the piece of cake, isn't it? No, that's just a story of actually paying the taxes. But what do you think? Do you think what shapes our society? Is it capitalism or socialism? You would say whatever best works for us. Wouldn't the best way to get people to work would be to allow every individual to keep all the benefits? Now, won't self-interest then lead every person to work harder? If you're getting everything that you are working for and you get 100%, no taxes cut, you can keep whatever you want to keep, and whatever you produce, you keep everything rather than sharing with anybody. Like to produce as much as you want, there is no restriction. Um, so this is the idea that is behind the capitalist society. Okay, it's called free enterprise system. Okay, and if all the people are basically self-interested, then shouldn't we spend more on like police, prison, and military and other things, institutions we use to protect people from one another? And on the other hand, if humans are not basically selfish or self-interested, but cooperative and unselfish and lovable and having empathy and sympathy, then wouldn't it make sense to inspire people to work for one another's good, helping others share things, what we have in us, around us, is actually capitalistic society. We produce things and we keep it for ourselves rather than sharing it with others. That's why in Pakistan you see there are many poor people, because not everybody gets the chance of getting money, and even if they don't work, they should be getting some support from the state for the money coming out of taxes from the people who are working. Okay, now that is what other societies do. They help people who don't have. So they are more towards socialism. Socialism means helping, and capitalism means self-centeredness. Socialism goes towards unselfishness behaviors. Okay, so what do you think our society is? Is it towards capitalism or is it towards socialism? Okay. Now it is clear that a lot actually is to be answered. Okay, what makes a human being, and this the entire topic that we are discussing right now, it depends on this only. Well, let's move on. Now, when we say actually what is human nature, right? What is human nature? Remember, first you must understand the concept of self. Self actually can be defined with the word ego. Ego means I that exists in the physical body. The one that is in you is ego, the I. And this ego is the conscious self of yours, and this is the rational self of yours. You know that you are seated right now, or maybe you're lying down and receiving my lecture, but actually you are aware of what your body is doing right now. And you have another self within you, which is the thinking self. And this is your rational self, which can perceive, which can reason. Okay. Now, the second thing is that human beings are different from the others. That's what we believe, that humans are different from from others. Now, your body is physical, you are a material entity, whereas there is a self in you which is not material. It is immaterial entity, which you can call maybe soul. You may define it as spirit. And this spirit that we say that is in you, a soul in you, is immaterial. That means it does not cease to exist when your body dies. Now, the third belief about human, being human, is that what is human self means. You must ask yourself, will you actually endure through time? Will you die when your body dies, or will you self endure? When you keep on remaining? That means self remains the same throughout its life. This consciousness, this rationality in you, it remains the same throughout the life, but it also continues to be the same after the death. Now, that is what makes self, ego, soul, spirit, an independent identity. And even if you know that you will die, you will not die. Exactly. Now, this is a complex view about human being, and you need to understand this from the Western lens. Western thinkers, actually, which we call the traditional Western philosophy. Okay, and they talk about the traditional view of human nature. Okay, we also have a rationalistic perspective of human nature that humans are rational. Now, because not everybody accepts that the traditional view of human nature, let me tell you what traditional means here. The traditional view of nature means that human have a rational or spiritual self, which is different from the material body. And this self, ego, spirit, soul has a purpose, and it endures over time, and it exists as a separate, independent individual. Whereas, um, you know, problem with this is that not everybody would agree with the traditional view of human nature. Many thinkers have rejected this idea that humans have a uh, humans have an independent identity. They say that humans have a rational nature, and this rational nature of human has a purpose. Others, they only say that we only are physical body and nothing else. Still, others have rejected the assumptions that humans are have an enduring self. Some people say no, there is no such thing as soul. When we die, everything dies. The consciousness also dies, and there is self is um, not an independent individual. It's nothing. It's I mean, when we die, everything dies. Finish. Okay. Now let's talk about what Plato actually defines. Now, before I talk about Plato, I would like to support, maybe talk about Oscar Wilde. And he said that man is a rational animal who always loses his temper when he is called upon to act according with the dictates of his reason. Okay, why do you get angry? Is when actually your mind tells you, okay, when you listen to your mind and you get angry, you loses your temper. When somebody asks you to use your head and not your heart, and that's what makes you angry. Okay, because reason is the highest human power, and this is the traditional theory of human nature that says that humans are capable of reasoning. And the greatest philosopher, Plato, although Plato did not think that reason is the sole recipe of human nature, But in his book Republic, all right, he's talking. Okay, Plato gives the view when he's talking, um, and he answers the question, discussing the question, what is self? Even though in Plato's terminology, self is the psyche, and Plato did not intend all the theological meaning that we give, and we replace self with the word soul. Okay, many people would say replace it with self as inner self, soul, or spirit. Plato has no intention to use such keywords. Plato says simply that reason should rule over our appetite and aggression. Let me tell you what I mean by the word appetite. Appetite means thirst and hunger. Obviously, when you say having a great appetite, means that I'm hungry. Yes, I'm hungry. Now, what makes you having an appetite? There are two, three things. One is food, and the other one is sexual desire, or maybe physical desire. That what increases your appetite. Now, the second part of you is actually what is telling you not to eat, not to drink too much, not to have physical relationship before marriage. There is something that is telling you, and what is that something? That is called the reason. Okay. Now, man is actually made up of two things. Okay. And by reason, Plato means that uniquely human capacity for thinking reflectively and then drawing conclusions. That means this rational um, piece of human actually makes you think and draw conclusion. This is the ability that everyone has, and this through this we actually um, we work. Okay, this is called the rational part of the self, and Plato has he points to the brain. It is like he says that the rational part is in the brain. Okay, now, but Plato also says that this rational self is always in conflict with appetite. Okay, because reason is always in conflict with appetite. So let me repeat. Plato says that reasons should rule over appetite and aggression, and he says that there are three parts of the soul. One is the reason, one is the spirit, and the other one is the appetite. Now, he has actually used the word spirit. Spirit here means aggression. You have reason, appetite means desire, spirit means aggression. Okay, Plato claims that the reason is often in conflict with our appetite or our aggressions, and our appetite can conflict with our aggressiveness. Now, having said this, we'll talk about Judeo-Christian view later on, but we are on the traditional view of human nature right now, trying to understand what traditional view of human nature is. When Plato claimed that there is a conflict that could arise when our aggressive emotions flares up, okay, um, Plato would say that there is a conflict is not in actually in between reason and appetite. The conflict is actually in between reason and what he calls anger. The conflict is not in between reason and appetite. The conflict actually is in between reason and anger. Got it? According to Plato, this self lives in the chest within you. And there within this chest of you, there is a war between the reason and anger. Okay, reason seeks what is good, what is right, what makes you feel happy. Reason says do that. Okay, but it's going to tell you do what is right. But this appetite is desire. I want good food, I want blah 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 blah. कहीं से भी आता हो, कैसे भी आ जाए, by all means, just get it. I want it. But reason would always stop you and tell you no, something which is wrong, coming through wrong means you shouldn't be having it. Yeah. What we must notice is actually we always, when we talk about Plato is always talking about the forms, okay? And he talks about perfect heaven, which is unchanging. And now slowly we are moving back towards idealism. We will talk about that one day when we will die. Our spirit will be freed from its body and it's going to ascend to heaven. Isn't it the same belief that we have in ourselves being religious? Plato was not a Muslim, was not a Christian, was not a Jew. He was Greek, yet he had the similar kind of belief system. With this, Plato concluded that reason, appetite, and aggressions are the three main parts of humans because reason can know how we should live, and reason actually should rule appetite and aggression. What is the reason? Why did he say that? Why would Plato say that reason should rule the appetite and aggression? Because if the person always listens to his appetite, his desires, or is always angry, then these two, aggressiveness and appetite, will enslave a person, and reason can no longer will be able to rule over appetite means desires and the spirit, which is aggression. Okay. Now, having this said this, let's talk about Aristotle. We can never leave Aristotle alone when we're talking about Plato. Now, Aristotle had this common phrase, perfect phrase. He said, reason is our highest power, and this is exactly what distinguish human nature. Now, remember, Plato was Aristotle's teacher. So that means Aristotle is Plato's student. Okay. And he said that reason is also human's highest power. And I just told you why is that. Aristotle said he agrees that we have the ability to reason, and that is what sets the characteristics of us. That's what makes the human self different from all other created creatures. Okay. Now, there should be a purpose as far as Plato and concerned and Aristotle concerned. Aristotle says that all living things have a purpose. Nothing is out of purpose. What is the purpose of the eye? The purpose of the eye is to see. What is the purpose of ear? The purpose of ear is to hear. And so, human, the purpose of human is to use his reason to think and to control the desire and aggression. Okay. Now, the critical thinking question here is this. Aristotle assumes that if a part of an organism has a purpose, the whole organism must have a purpose. Is this assumption correct? Okay. Just as in each part of man, like say for example, eye, the hand, the foot, they all things have a purpose. So also human as a whole must have a purpose. The question is, what is this purpose? Our biological functions we share in common even in plants. So then these cannot be the purpose of man. Since we are looking for something specific to humans, the activities of our senses we also plainly share with other things, like even horses can see, they have eyes, they can smell, they have nose, they can taste, they have tongue, they can sense the touch. Okay, so what makes you different from other animals? There should be a specific purpose for humans. Okay, for both Plato and Aristotle, they stress that reason as the most important feature of our human nature. Okay, reason is the most important. Other animals don't have reason, and that is unique in us. This what makes you different from all other animals, because they don't have the capacity, they don't use the reason. As for humans, our purpose is to be rational, means use our reason. And to achieve this purpose, reason must control desire and aggression. I think I made my point very clear. Okay. Now, in the book Phaedo, all right, basically it's not a book, it's a dialogue. Basically, Phaedo is the dialogue, and in which Plato is arguing with Socrates about the self, the soul, and they're arguing that the soul is immaterial and immortal, and it can survive after we die. Okay. In Phaedo, the dialogue, Plato argues with Aristotle that the soul is immaterial and immortal. And why did they say that? It is because the soul can perceive non-material ideas that do not exist in this world. Because if something can perceive non-material things, that means that thing itself is a non-material thing. Okay. The question to think is, what is Plato assuming when he says that because the mind can think about immaterial objects, it must be immaterial? Is this assumption correct? Aristotle claimed that because barbarians were less rational, therefore they were less humans and could be ruled and enslaved by Greeks. Okay, that is a wonderful critique that Socrates is giving an example of barbarians. Now, this is the implication of the traditional rationalistic view, which means that human nature looks innocent. Okay, yes, it is. Now, that is exactly what Aristotle is saying. Aristotle says that he claims that if a group of people was less rational than Greek people, they would enslave. They would be less humans. They would be barbarians. Who's a barbarian? Barbarian is someone who could be enslaved, okay, with somebody else. How is it possible that all the English people who came here in India enslaved people? Nobody can make any other human being slave. It was because Indian people were less rational. They did not think much. Why are they coming here? What is the purpose of their coming here? Are they coming here just to sell things? If they would have thought, reasoned, they would have never let them enter the country. And so the company would have never actually did have done what they had done. Yes, we would be a different nation today. Okay. So if you're less rational, anyone else who is more rational than you could enslave you. Aristotle says that the lower sort are by nature slaves. Okay, and it is better for them, as for all the inferiors, that they should be under the rule of the master. Okay, slavery, how the slavery happens, because a slave always thinks that he's inferior and he should be under a master. Okay, now let's just sum up this, actually the entire traditional rationalistic view says Plato and Aristotle both are contributors to this view, and they say that reason should rule over appetite and aggression. And Plato believes that there are three parts of the soul, which is reason, appetite, and aggression. And he says that reason should define human purpose. What is the purpose of human being? Is to rule appetite and reason. Having said this, let's talk about human nature from a Judeo-Christian view. You will be able to understand this simply. Okay, since we are giving you the Christian view and Jews' view of human nature, you must know what is written in the Bible, what is written in the Torah about how human was made. Humans in the Bible, in Genesis, it says that God made man in his own image. You know, I was really wondering if you could understand the image, the word image. Someone actually, it's very easy to understand the concept. When you actually make an image of a CD, virtual image of a CD, what do? You copy the entire CD in a digital way, right? So when God made human in his own image, that means he copied himself. And all those qualities that God has, man also has it. And what is that quality? Quality to love and quality to have the intellect. Now, since Plato said that human should have a purpose, and for Plato, the purpose of human is to control, okay, the appetite and aggression. But the purpose of human in Judeo-Christian view, they say the purpose is to love and serve God. That is exactly the purpose of human being. But they also believe that humans have a free will to choose between good and evil. Now, think things. Humans are made in the image of God. That means they are like God. Okay, they can think, they can create, and they can love. Now, and they know the difference between good and bad, right? And all animals don't know. Say again. Okay, the Judeo-Christian view says that humans are made in the image of God because they have will and intellect, and the purpose of human is to love and serve God. Okay, let me give you an example of a philosopher whose name is John Updike. And John Updike actually talks about the essential self, actually. And he says that this essential self in us is innocent. And when this self tastes its own innocent, it knows that it can live forever. Well, that's a very, very different kind of argument that we are reading. We also have another philosopher from the Christian perspective, and his name is Saint Augustine. Okay, Saint Augustine is Platonic, and Saint Thomas Aquinas is Aristotelian. So whenever we mention Augustine, you say that he would always talk like Plato. Okay, And he said, Augustine said, that the self or soul is rational, it's immaterial and immortal, and not basically selfish. Excuse me. Now, what actually is the main thing about Judeo-Christian view? Judeo-Christian view of human nature is actually, it denies the rationalistic view. On the contrary, Plato strongly influenced Christians, though through philosophers such like uh, there was a Roman Plotinus. Okay, he was and the early Christian Saint Augustine. Augustine, in particular, adapted many Platonic doctrines of Christianity. Okay, for example, Plato, Augustine took the doctrine of human self is a rational self. Human self is an immaterial soul. It's a conscious and it can think. So we do have, in Christianity, we do have a lot of documents written by Saint Augustine, which helps actually understand human being. Augustine actually borrowed Plato's view that humans have an immaterial and immortal soul. And what did Augustine do? He used this idea to justify the Christian notion of life after death. Plato said that after death, the soul of those who love, perfect, eternal ideals would the souls that they will rise to heaven. And those that love the perfect eternal God. I mean, that's exactly what that is exactly what Plato said, actually. That soul is immortal, and Plato and Augustine also says that the soul itself is immaterial, immortal. It's an independent entity. It can live without body. Okay. Beside this, beside reason, Augustine emphasized the notion of will. We have reason, we have love, ability to love. Those who will love will go to heaven. We have reason, but beside a reason, there is another thing that humans has, which is will. I mean, nobody can force you to uh, do good things or bad things. You have a will in you. Out of that will, actually, you can choose whether you want to do certain things or not. Giving the example of Adam and Eve, uh, there's a story goes like this, that Eve was in the Garden of Eden and Satan came there and said that, did God tell you not to eat from the fruit, not to eat the fruit of the tree that gives you knowledge? He said, yes, God has told us not to eat the fruit from this tree, because the day we will eat from it, we will die. We will surely die. He said, no, you will not die. Your eyes will be opened. Satan was trying to, there is a there's a dialogue between Satan and Eve, and then Satan convinced Eve to actually disobey God and eat the fruit of knowledge. And when she ate it, she said, oh, the fruit is good and I'm still alive. Let me give it to my husband, Adam. And he also ate it. And when both of them ate the fruit of good and evil, the knowledge, their eyes were opened, and then they say, oh, we are naked, we are not wearing anything. Animals don't have this, they don't feel bad if they're naked because their eyes are closed. They don't know. Okay, that's how we say we know between difference between good and bad. Okay, there's another philosopher whose name is Friedrich Nietzsche. He says that man is absolutely not the crown of creation. Man is not the ultimate best thing that God has ever made. Now, this is something which is in disagreement with this belief, that we believe that man is Ashraful Makhlukat, the best creation of God. But Nietzsche disagreed to that. That man is absolutely not the crown of creation, because every creature stand beside human at the same stage of perfection. Means whatever God has made, he has made it perfectly. If he has made dog, he has made perfect dog at its own stage. So there is a category of creation of creatures. Okay, let me share a quote of William Shakespeare. He says, "What a he is going to marvel at at man, at human, as a creation of God." He says, what a piece of work a man is, how noble in reason, how, how infinite in faculties like faculty of sight, the faculty of hearing, the faculty of touch and all that. Okay? In all forms. Oh, and he is admiring by saying this. He says he's like an angel. Okay? It's like an angel, the beauty of world, the paragon of animals. Yet to Shakespeare, he says, having all these qualities, yes, he's just dust. That means one day he's going to die. फना होने वाला शख्स है इंसान. Okay. Now let me wind up the Judeo-Christian view like this: that Judeo-Christian view may not be supported by the modern scientist of today. Remember, and and may imply a cultural superiority that justifies destroying other cultures. So, can Judeo-Christian be? What are the implications? Okay, but then we will move towards some another uh, dimensions of thinking about human nature. What actually uh, is human nature? We'll be talking about Charles Darwin's natural selection theory also, which says that humans are not created; they just changed over time. They were evolved, but creation theory says that no, we were created, and so on and so forth. So the chapter is still under discussion. We are not closing the chapter today, but we have introduced the chapter of human nature. Uh, with time, we are going to discuss it further. Since today was 1 hour's class, and that's the only thing that we have done today. So what we'll do is we'll take the screenshots of our attendance. Then the participants, please don't go. Just stay here. I don't see many people actually present in this class, but there are 25 of you who are still here. But all the people who are attending, they have you speak the class for the files. Just give me 1 second. We are not going to. Bukan, what are you sending? Are you sending me the picture of all the people present in the class? Is that what you're doing? All right, quickly on the WhatsApp group, everybody. Type your name as present. Type your name as present in the WhatsApp group right now, everyone. It will just be one word and your attendance will be marked quickly in the philosophy group, please. Do it right now, as of now, just now. Go on, quickly write one word. We have 60 seconds left. CR, please take the screenshot of everyone. We are actually beyond. Ira, please on write the word present in WhatsApp group. That's what I'm saying. Please follow the protocol. So thank you so much, everybody. That's it for today, and I'll show the later part of this topic next week, and we'll continue learning from there. Thank you so much.